How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hi, Alex. Hi, Jack. Hi, Molly. Hey, James and Odd. Hi, Amber.
How are we? Can you hear us?
Good.
Good.
Hi, Kari. Hi, Ian. Hi, Shauna.
Hello, hello.
All right, we are finishing up a cleanse day here, so
Hi!
we're gonna re-up on some.
I've got my Cleanse for Life peach mango, and I am like feeling the cleanse.
That's awesome. We're cleansing tomorrow after Ryan's long birthday weekend.
Oh, how is that? Was it so fun?
We had a great time, but we need a little less whiskey and a little more cleanse.
A little more Cleanse for Life. It'll cleanse you out.
I know. I'm going to wait about like 60 seconds and then I'm going to start. But I appreciate you guys being on and like right on time and everything. Hi, Deanna. Hi, Casey. Hi, Jack. Hi, Rick.
Hey, Laura.
Hi, Susie. Hi, Molly.
Where's that red blanket, please? Another one around or no?
Hi, Jess.
Hang on.
Hi,
Okay.
Chris.
I was on a conference call and I hit the wrong button and they started talking.
No worries. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Mary Ellen.
I need to order myself some stuff.
Go ahead and mute that. Glad you're ordering, though.
Probably
Glad you're ordering.
order yourself some stuff. That's the answer.
All right, let's go ahead and start this. All right, you guys, thank you so much for popping on for week 7 of our 90-day action plan. I am so thrilled to introduce our guest speakers tonight. Before I go through like any of their bio and accolades, I really just want to always celebrate you guys. I know that, you know, the Monday, especially for those of you that are still working like a 9 to 5 at the end of the day to hop on and get on this call, that it just takes a commitment. And I just really want to celebrate all of you. I think that this is the halfway point of the 90-day action plan, and it's kind of that time we can be really tough on ourselves and like, oh, what I thought was going to happen is not happening. And just want to remind you guys that this is a journey. It is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And we're just so proud of you and celebrating absolutely everything you've done, from the first call, the first post, to the 100th call, the 100th post, you know, the 100th follow-up. And I just love seeing your faces and really starting the week out strong. I also want to remind you it is launch party week. So for those of you that are following the 90-day action plan, you know, the first 2 weeks of each kind of 30-day sprint, we're focusing on enrolling. And then the 3rd week is the launch party week. And that 4th week is where we're going to be rank advancing. And as a team, we're doing these blitz weeks where we're kind of locking arms and driving the line. So if you had forgotten about that, don't worry about it. There's a lot of events going on, but on Wednesday night, I am doing a virtual event that's for everybody to please plug into and invite your teams to. Saturday, I have an amazing Super Saturday. Chris Nish from Corporate's going to be here. Taylor, our product specialist, is going to be here. Jamie Lynn Curley, who's a 5-star from Philadelphia, is coming out here. So hopefully you guys can come. And next week, don't forget the Your Ideal Life Tour that we're doing in California is happening. So from San Diego to San Jose, Kisa and Anushka and Jules and Jenny and oh my gosh, I'm forgetting Danielle, like we're just covering that together and it's going to be fabulous. So it's one team. I talked to Sydney Lynch this morning. We are partnering in San Diego. Like I've been reaching out to the Slovens. It's going to be amazing. So just really keep your eye on that. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our guest speakers. So they've got amazing content. I told them I had a couple questions. I like to start with interview style, and then what's really just passionate on their heart, they're going to open up with. But James and Audrey, who I've known the entire time I've been in Isagenix, I think Audrey started just a couple months before me. They were not married when I met them. And I watched them start dating. I watched them fall in love. I watched them get married all through Isagenix. And they're truly living like their ideal life. When I met Audrey, they called her Hair Toss Moss. because the energy she'll bring, she had then. And I was like, who is this girl? But I remember just seeing her vibrancy and her tenacity and this conviction that she was one of the people that really built my belief early on. That was like, oh my gosh, anybody can do this. And just her love for the company, her love for the Cougars, her love for the products was someone who really has inspired me for my entire journey. Today, watching their growth, I mean, literally over the last 5 or 6 years, and them not only as a couple, but as leaders in this couple and doing the personal growth and showing up every day for themselves, for the company, for their teams, they're remarkable. Like, it is a treat and an honor to have them on the call. So they're 7-star Crystal executives, 6-star Golden Circle. They're star ambassadors, you guys. They're representing the young generation. They are the youngest millionaires in Isagenix. So they've made a cumulative more than 7 figures throughout their entire journey. They both have trained on stage at our major events because of just the quality that they bring. So it's a treat to have them on here. And I will just say that I've heard James speak twice at the corporate events. I knew Audrey first. And both times it's like jaw dropping. Like, there's just genius that comes out of them. So he's poised, he's fun, he's relatable. And I'm going to turn over the call to you guys right now. And I would love to just start with you sharing your story. Like, how the heck did you come into Isagenix? How did you get together? Talk about, it doesn't have to be 30 seconds. Like, the messy parts, where you are now, like, take some time and just let them get to know you.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for inviting us to
you.
be on this call, guys. We are so excited when Lauren reached out and said, hey, we've got some fired up people on our team. Will you do it? I didn't even hesitate. I was like, yes, we're in. Just tell us what value you want us to bring. So we're so honored to be on this call with y'all today. Our story starts with me. I was, oh gosh, I could spend hours just sharing this whole story, but I really believe that God brought me to Isagenix. And matter of fact, I know that he did, because I was looking for a job as a hairstylist. I had just graduated from beauty school, looking for a job as a hairstylist, couldn't find a job anywhere. And honest to goodness, in a moment of desperation, sitting in a parking lot with tears streaming down my face, I closed my eyes and I said, God, please plop a job in my lap. I need something. And my phone rang. And I was like, is this God? And so I'm not kidding. It was like in the middle of my prayer, my phone rang. And it ended up being Patty Cepeda, who is like the top earner. Her and Herb Cepeda are top earners in Isagenix. And I had never heard of Isagenix before. I had never heard of network marketing. She needed a nanny. And she stumbled upon me through a series of events. I didn't know who they were, but I said, yes, I need money. I am going to be your nanny. And so for 2 years, I fell in love with this family. And for 2 years, I watched them serve people through Isagenix. I listened to their verbiage every single day for 2 full years. I could tell you everything about toxicity, and I wasn't using the products. I could tell you about residual income, and I wasn't making any. I just listened and I learned. And my belief, really, before I even put the products in my body, I had so much belief in Isagenix because of Herb and Patty, because I loved them and I trusted them. And so, long story short, I gained 35 pounds in 2 years. I did Weight Watchers while I was nannying for them. They were like, Aud, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm not doing Isagenix, I'm doing Weight Watchers. And they were like, how are those points treating you? And I was like, not very good. So I tried the products and I fell in love, and it changed my health. And I knew that this was something that I really felt that God had led to me. And to be honest, the reason I'm still standing here today is because I feel called to be a part of this vision to serve people. And when your why burns really deep within you, and it's totally not self-focused, and it can start out that way. It can start out needing to pay for the residual bills that you have, because for me, I did have a lot of stress wrapped around finances. And so it started out for me, like when I thought about being able to pay for my phone bill and my gas every month, that would alleviate some stress. I felt more free. And so that's why it really started for me. in the driving force of wanting more freedom. But the reason I'm still here today is because I have a deeper calling inside of my heart. And I tell people all the time, the people who are here year after year after year have a deeper why that burns within them. And if your why is superficial for a long time, you will burn out. When the why is deep welling within you and you feel called to be a part of this movement, to be a part of the legacy, to see other people and know that you have a gift for them, that is going to be what causes you to wake up every day and to continue sharing the gift. Otherwise, it will be out of your own strength, and that will only get you so far. And so for me, I burned for a vision for people because I really felt like I had prayed for direction my entire life, and God led me to this. And so I had no idea that I was going to meet my husband through it. Like, it's amazing. And so 7 months later, I came all up in James's house to do an opportunity overview. Lauren knows me when I was 22. I was
Has anybody seen that comp plan video?
untamed,
Anybody
okay?
see Odd's old comp plan video? Yeah, that's how she was
All the
every
time.
single minute of the day.
Every moment of every single day. And I loved myself then, but it was a lot.
Absolutely, yeah.
It was a lot.
It's
But
okay.
he
It's
still
okay.
loved me.
I did.
Yeah.
Well, and we grew into love. Love was a strong word to use right out of the gate, but we grew into it. For me, my story is really short. You guys, I was the easiest sell. I couldn't get in fast enough. Got the largest pack.
He's lying. That's not what happened.
So, guys, I was, in fact, still to this day, probably the hardest sell, in the sense that I was the biggest skeptic. I was the biggest skeptic and cynic. There's a difference between being a skeptical person and being cynical. When you're cynical, you're looking for the bad. You're searching out for the bad. And if you've been in Isagenix long enough, you've heard this phrase, what you look for, you find. And the reality of it is I just didn't agree with this industry because I had never seen it represented in a way that I wanted to align with. And so when you're looking at how your business is going and if you're, feeling like you should be ahead of where you're at right now, I always take it upon myself of saying, how am I representing this company? How am I representing this industry? Not blaming anybody else, not blaming the products or the tools or how Celebration, not blaming anything. How am I representing Isagenix in network marketing? And the reality of it is I had never met anybody that represented it in a way that I said, I can get behind that. So I was a college student studying psychology because I love people, but I never wanted to work in a clinical sense. I had this dream always from when I was like 14 years old to live this completely autonomous life, to not have to answer to anybody, not have to do, much work after the end of the day, to travel all over the world, meet new people. Totally sounded like off the wall when you're 14. Everyone's like, good luck, kid. And that's kind of the response that I got even all the way up until I was 22, 23. And then Isagenix came in and I heard something new. I heard a different song. I heard a different, I heard Odd, to be honest with you. And she came in and I saw opportunity for my life. But one of the fun facts is I actually took advantage of the 30-day money-back guarantee that Isagenix promises, and I sent my products back the first month. Yes, I sent my box back all the way to shipment, got refunded because I was in such a desperate place in my life. This is a totally real story. I usually don't share this on calls, by the way, but I'm feeling led to do that tonight. So here you go. I sent my products back and I needed to pay for the radiator in my truck because it broke. And I said, okay, if I don't have a radiator in my truck doesn't run, meaning I can't get to work, meaning I can't get paid. And the whole cycle of my life, which was barely meeting ends anyways, I couldn't even afford food at the end of the week, despite waiting tables. I was like, okay, this Isagenix stuff, cool, but I just sent it back. I was done. I washed my hands of it, and there was so much of me that honestly felt like this was too good to be true. Comment in the chats if when you first heard about this, you first heard about the results on the cleanse or the opportunity, you felt and you said this has to be too good to be true. This has to be, right? And I think it's important for us to remember that. I only see one comment in the chat, so I guess that was the only one. Okay, there we go. So it's important for us to remember that because you guys, people who don't understand what Isagenix is, they haven't peeked behind the curtain. They don't know what it's like to do a cleanse day and wake up after 48 hours and feel amazing. They don't know what it's like to receive a ding on a Monday and have $500 extra in your bank account that you otherwise wouldn't have. And so for us, it's important to remember to keep that relatability with the person that they just don't know what they don't know. So for me, it took time. To be honest with you, it took me 3 months to come back around and finally say, yes, I'm ready to give this a go. But it was because the pain in my life continued to press into me. It wasn't going anywhere. I was still broke. I still had no drive, no, really gumption to go do anything. My energy couldn't be lower. When I put these products in my body, you guys, fully, starting January of 2014, in my first 90 days, I dropped 7 percentage points in body fat. I went from about a 14% body fat down to 7 in 90 days, only changing my nutrition. I was blown away. And I said, this has to be what everybody needs to put in their body. It has to be. I was so convinced that everybody needed this. And I actually went on to pay for my entire last semester of college in 1 week's pay of Isagenix after having just started for 6 months prior. So, first off, the whole notion and the whole stigma that broke college students won't do this is a lie. You got to divorce that story. You can't be a part of that story. College kids need this. They need this just as much as everybody else. And we're exiting college. We're educating this beautiful education system that has many flaws that we all know, with just mountains of student loan debt, and we don't know how to go about it. So if you've heard the story of, broke college student, just don't agree with that. Make that the reason why they need Isagenix. So that's a little bit of my story.
Well,
I came in knowing nothing, and I was just willing to learn and grow into somebody that, could live a life that we are now getting to live.
Yeah. And so 2 years later, after he said yes, we were just business partners. And
oh yeah, forgot to throw that.
We
That's
were
an entirely
just
different
business
story,
partners
by the
and
way.
friends. Like, I'm not kidding. We really did not see each other as we were going to fall in love and get married. We had such respect for each other. And honestly, I think we loved each other as dear friends, but we didn't see it like that until the timing was right. And then he pursued me a lot, and I said no
There's
a
a
lot.
whole training about persistence,
But
and follow-up.
we ended up falling in love, and we ended up
training
getting
on that.
married. And I just find, his story is so incredible to me, because he sent his products back, and now he's an Isagenix millionaire, and he's on the field advisory board. Kathy Coover called him and asked him to be on the field advisory board representing this company this year and bringing innovative ideas. And, for me, I will speak on behalf of me. I was the most unqualified, discounted person in the world's eyes to have success. I was rejected from college. I started this business at 22 years old. I had never heard of network marketing before. I had no influence. I had 14 followers on Instagram. I was, in the world's eyes, you shouldn't even have talked to me about Isagenix. In the world's eyes, you should discredit me. James sent his products back. In the world's eyes, shut the door, burn that bridge. Don't ever burn any bridges. You keep your doors open to every person that comes your way, to the customers who lose 30 pounds and then they quit and they stop responding to your text messages. Do not burn that bridge. You love them, and you keep your arms open to them so that when they come back, they feel like it's a safe place. If we would have burned that bridge, James would never have felt welcome to come back into the community after returning his box. We wouldn't be in love. We wouldn't be living the life that we live. And I think for me, one of the most valuable lessons through that entire thing for me was to always keep my heart soft towards all people, to never harden my heart based off of somebody else's circumstance or how they might perceive me and what I'm doing with Isagenix. As long as I can keep my heart soft, and as long as I can keep my arms open, and as long as I can keep the doors of this business open and people can come in and out as much as they want, as long as I remain stable and consistent, day in and day out, I am going to see my business grow to the extent that I desire to grow. And I really saw that through that example. And honestly, through the entire 6 years that we've been building this business, it has been a theme throughout it all, that people come and they go and they come and they go. And we have had people leave our organization because of different things in their life, and we have loved them and encouraged them and have kept our doors open. And they've come back when the different seasons come around and now they're soaring and they're cycling and they are rank advancing in stars. And for me, I have seen just objectively, I have seen when bridges have been burned where that doesn't happen. And so one of my greatest lessons through this entire journey is to not get frustrated if people don't do what I think that they should do. To not get frustrated when, oh my gosh, he sent his products back. To not get frustrated if somebody comes into the business and says, I want to be your next Crystal executive, and they don't text you back. It's to remain soft, and it's to remain in love, and it's to respect and to honor everybody else's journey in the way that they perceive it. Because if we can do that, we are keeping ourselves in a positive, energetic state to where we are going to receive so much goodness that comes forth from that. So that was a little tangent, but I really felt the need to share that because it was a valuable lesson that I learned early on in this business, and it's carried for 6 years, and I've seen so much fruit from it. So that's a little bit of our story, Lauren.
That's so good. I actually love that piece that you went on. It's so funny. So with the last, 6 weeks, you guys are the 7th that I've been doing this. And you guys will know that everyone's like, what are you going to talk about? And it's like, I've asked people that are so skilled and so competent. I really could ask you to talk about anything and you would know. Like, is there something you're passionate about? Like Lindsay Hopkner did this great thing on time management a couple weeks ago. But this interview stuff, because the real and the rawness is what makes us so relatable. And it reminds people that there was so much story behind that glory. And you didn't just get there one day. And I'm going to actually ask you a question that you kind of led into organically, but I want to just say something to my team along the lines of what you're talking about. So I put this post up today in the group that had to do from a podcast I was listening to, and I was really touched by it, but it was using this analogy of how geese flock together with leadership. And one of them was saying that 72% of, or 74% or something like that of the flight is what they have to do alone. And even though we work together, think about it, 70% of your business is your own prospecting, your own follow-up, your own product of the product, your own social media posts, whatever. Someone only can do so much. James and Audrey can only do so much for their team, right? And then it talked about consistency, which is the question I'm going to lead into, because even though you've had this open doors, the idea that you've been so consistent, that people have trusted you, and you've continued to show up through those wall-kicking moments. You never took time off. You never started and stopped. So I'm going to come back to that. But I thought it was huge, and it was just talking about that effort. You can't migrate if you're not consistent. Right. But one of the things that I loved the most was this idea of that there's not always someone leading the flock, and that you rotate through leaders and really lean on each other through this trust, right? And through this camaraderie, the community. And that if one geese is always doing it, they're going to tire out. They're going to burn out. What happens to the flock? And so if someone gets sick, if they get wounded, if they get tired, and someone else rises up. And I think it parallels so well with consistency. And I've watched that, literally watched that in your guys' organization. There was a period of time I remember thinking, because I was there too, they must be exhausted. They're doing it all. They're doing it all. But over the consistency, over working on yourself, you've attracted in these people that you guys now have built residual income that you could take a year off and your business is going to grow. And so I want you to talk a little bit about, even though you've kept open arms with people, what does that look like to be consistent through wall-kicking moments, through life events, things that take people out of the game, how you've continued to show up, and the ramifications in your business as a result of that?
Yeah, totally.
That's a really good question. And I think that we can never overemphasize the importance of consistency, ever. So even if you've had a million lessons and heard a million podcasts about consistency, you guys, this is really big. And this is very timely because, Aud and I, we had a big revelation this summer in regards to our business and kind of the journey that we've been on personally with it. So we rank advanced to 6-star this summer. And it was a big push, and there was a lot of energy, and it was amazing. It was a product of a lot of people that was outside of us. But here's what, and we got a lot of, recognition, a lot of people shouting us out saying, oh, it's so great, wonderful. But here's what people don't realize is that we didn't have a rank advancement on our first business center for 5 years. I'll say that again because some of you might have missed it. We did not rank advance from 5-star to 6-star. We didn't have a star rank advancement in Golden Circle for 5 years.
But what did we have?
We had Crystal.
We had 6
I don't know the answer to that.
star advancements for Crystal executives. So we didn't rank advance a golden circle, but in those 5 years, we went from 1-star crystal executive to 7-star crystal executive.
So during this time period, and Isagenix is a really unique ecosystem, right? It's really, we can get into this comparison game, and I just want to silence that. Like there needs to be no comparison with your story or anybody else on this call's story or anybody else in this company's story. That is not, we don't have a place to compare our story to anybody else's. Why? Because we don't know all the facts. We are not reading the entire book.
Yeah.
And so we're doing ourselves and most likely that other person a disservice when we compare our stories. But so people didn't see us. For 5 years, you guys, we're doing this every day, every day, every day, every day, every day. And, you know, you go to celebration, you go to New Year's kickoff, you see somebody rank advance, you see somebody get the shooting star, you see all this stuff. And Autumn and I kept having real conversations with ourselves, say, okay, we need to stay consistent with this. I mean, I'm just being really honest with you guys about conversations that we had. And even the leaders in this company, people who are making the big bucks or whatnot, they have real conversations like this. I can absolutely promise you. But we had conversations of like, listen, we're doing everything we need. Like, we just need to stay consistent. Like, but honestly, it's kind of frustrating. And like, this has been a long time coming. And is this ever going to happen? And, you know, when will it happen? And, you know, all of these questions that I'm sure swirled around in your heads, maybe even now, maybe this past summer. But here's what we knew. We knew, one, that our business growing was first and foremost going to be a product of us growing. So we couldn't blame anybody else for this. We had to take radical responsibility. And we, as much as it was a temptation to blame the economy, to blame whatever, the weather, you know, people got all up on, it's the weather's fault. It was raining for a whole week. I didn't do anything. It's like, well, it's not the weather's fault, okay? But taking radical responsibility and saying, okay, we're showing up for our lives. Nobody's making us build Isagenix. Nobody's making us share Isagenix. We're doing this because we want to, because like I was saying, we have a vision and a passion. So it was taking radical responsibility and realizing, you know, we needed to grow ourselves in some ways. We really needed to grow ourselves in some ways. But then also there was an aspect of patience that we, honestly, everybody's timing is different. We needed to be patient to see, to wait until the fruition came, until the fruit came. And here's the honest truth, you guys. We can only play a certain amount of role of when our fruit comes. That's just the honest truth.
Yeah.
A farmer cannot make a fruit grow any faster outside of watering it and fertilizing it. He can't. The fruit is going to grow at the pace that it grows. And so right now,
That was good.
Thank you. I would encourage you to write down where there is fruit in your life, because we can often just point out the weeds, right? Write out where the fruit is in your life. Acknowledge it. If you're going to acknowledge the weeds, you got to acknowledge the fruit. If you're going to acknowledge the good, you have to acknowledge the bad. Or that was backwards. If you're going to acknowledge the bad of everything that's, you know, going wrong or not working in your business, you have to acknowledge everything that's good and everything that's prospering and everything that's growing, right? And so being patient, having consistency, but being amazingly patient to see this thing grow. And then I'll let you talk about whatever you want to as well.
That week that we hit 6-star was honestly the most easy, life-giving, beautiful, peaceful rank advancement in the history of rank advancements. And I just want to share this with you because I looked at James for 5 years, like kicking the wall, like, oh, we've done everything. Like, are we ever going to see the growth? Do you think we're ever going to hit the 150 in the back office? Like when you're very consistent and you show up every single day and you're putting in the work and you're not seeing the fruit when you think that you should see the fruit, your heart can get discouraged and you can begin to question whether or not you're going to see what it is that you've been working so hard for. That's a human aspect of life. But for me, I go back to the principle of everything that you sow, you will reap. I go back to that principle. That is a universal law. It's a universal principle. What you sow, you will reap at some point in some way. It may not be when you see it. It may not be when you want it, but that is a law and that is truth and it does happen. And so for years and years and years, it felt like it was just James and I. It felt like it was us leading the pack. We were doing the overviews. We were leading the calls. We were revving up the people. We were rallying the people. We were doing it all. Is it ever going to happen? We just have to continue to show up. And you also have to understand when you start this, we were 22 years old with no experience and we were very young. We had no idea what professionalism was. no idea in any way, shape, or form what professionalism looked like. So for years, we were just doing what we knew to do to become the people that we needed to become. So when it got to right after we hit Millionaire, in 2018, when we hit Millionaire and Kathy Coover gave us a call, I remember laying in bed with James, wholeheartedly looking at him and saying, do we know how to do network marketing? And I was being so serious. I was like, do we know how to lead a team? Are we doing this? And James was like, we're just going to continue to show up until we think we kind of know what we're doing. And we were continuing to show up. And where else can you make $1 million in a little over 5 years without feeling like you're a fully well-networked professional network marketer? Like, where else can you do that? Isagenix. And so it was right around that time where I felt a click and a shift begin to take place. It took us 5 years for a real shift to take place in our hearts and in our minds, where we started to attract new types of leaders in our business. And the leaders that we had been pouring into, this is key. The leaders that we have been pouring into for 3 to 5 years started to step up into the leadership that we knew they always had inside of them, but their timing began to click. And when that week of 6-Star Golden Circle happened, we didn't even think of 6-Star that week. We were so focused on 2 of our partners who wanted to go for a rank advancement, and everything that we needed to do was so focused on them, it didn't even compute in our mind that 6-Star was even going to happen that week. It did not compute until Friday evening after they had already rank advanced to 4-Star Golden Circle, when I looked in our back office on our way to Charleston to celebrate James's birthday and our 3-year wedding anniversary, where I looked at it in the car and I said, babe, I think we could hit 6-Star this week. And he looked at me and he was like, what? And I was like, I think we could hit 6-Star this week. And he looked at me and he said, if we hit 6-Star this week, this is going to be a different rank advancement than we've ever had before. Because all we've known in rank advancement weeks was pushing, anxiety, stress, gotta get the PIB, gotta enroll the people. And at the end of the push week, when we celebrated the rank advancement, I conked out on the bed and I literally passed out for 2 to 3 weeks on end, because I had exerted so much energy and it wasn't a healthy pace. You have to find your pace in this business so that you can show up every single day. So I looked at him and I said, babe, I think we could do it. Long story short, we ended up that weekend so simply, from all of the seeds that we planted and everything that happened, we ended up hitting 6-Star Golden Circle in the most peace, in the most joy, with no stress and no anxiety. And we continued the very next week, working as steadily as we had been working this whole entire year. And I share that story with you to say that rank advancement happened because we grew into the people that could withstand the leadership that it takes to have a 6-Star business center. We grew into those people. That rank advancement happened because James and I have chosen to show up every single day for ourselves and for our dreams and for our team. And so what we tell people every day is we say, we all started out having a 9-to-5 job. We all started out not having a lot of hours to put into this. But if you set yourself a little incremental goal every single day to do something to move the needle forward in your business through that consistent and that persistent action, you are going to see the fruit of it.
That was a really long answer, Lauren, but I hope that answered your question.
It's so good. If I felt like it was not good, I would interrupt you. So it's amazing. And I can see it in the chat too. So I'd be like, let's go back here and reroute. Okay, but that's a little bit higher level. And there's a lot of people on the call that I know their hearts are bursting because they can feel you talking to them. They're right at that point of 4 or 5 years saying, is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? But there's also some brand new people in here. So actually I have a young gentleman who Chris Nish and I met, when Chris was out here a couple weeks ago, 22 odd. 22, he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. He's so coachable, so driven. Over the weekend, put a power post up. I mean, there's another guy in here that Laura had met brand new, like, you know, who's got a stronger business acumen, never done network marketing. Like, talk a little bit just to the new person. Like, what would be your first steps of getting started? Like, what do you wish you knew 6 years ago that you would tell someone brand new to really just launch their business and get them set up for success?
So for me, and that's for me, I can only speak from my experience. I started this at 23 years old, having zero network, having zero credibility as a single college student, zero credibility with anybody. So one of the things that I guess I wish I would have known, maybe applied was just to fail faster, to be quite honest with you, to just learn things faster. And you guys, here's something you got to realize. You cannot steer a ship that isn't moving. I don't know if you've ever been on a ship, but if it's not moving, you turning the wheel doesn't do anything. And so many people get into the headspace of saying, okay, well, teach me everything before I even take a step. And what I wish my younger self could have learned and understood was, listen, this is a process you're not going to be able to get around. You're going to have to learn how to connect with people. You're going to have to learn how to explain network marketing, explain a cellular cleanse, explain, how, a compensation plan works or what residual income is. And the quicker you can get through that process, the quicker you can learn how to do that. Just meaning, like somebody just commented in the chat, Rachel commented in the chat, just dive in, going all in and saying, let's get through this process quickly. That's why you guys, 90-day action plans have been so impactful for so many people, because that's the decision they make and they go, you know what? I'm pushing all of my chips to the center of the table and I'm just going all in. So for me personally, I'll let Odd answer. In terms of just getting started, it would be understanding and going through the learning curve of what really is required of this business, which is understanding how to share with people what Isagenix is, how the products work in a very simple, succinct way. You don't have to know all about level 2 cellular cleansing or what ashwagandha is, or you don't have to know any of that.
I still don't know what that is.
Yeah, we don't even know. Use the tools. You don't have to know all that, but explaining what Isagenix is, being able to write out the compensation plan to somebody who doesn't understand what network marketing is, and then to effectively share a tool or bring somebody to a video that explains the overarching theme or even more detail of what Isagenix is and plugging them into a community. That's it. And the quicker you can learn that very, very basic, skill set, you're already going to be so far ahead of so many people who may be in this longer than you are in right now, but are just choosing not to take the action.
And I'll say this, when you're just getting started, or if you've been 5 years in, you cannot replace enthusiasm and excitement for this nutrition and this income opportunity. So if you just started, figure out what it is that's going to drive you every single day. Figure out why you want to have the success that you're having, because when it burns really deep within you, the people that you connect with through that enthusiasm and that excitement and that passion, trust me, I know this from my own experience. They may not know everything that you're talking about, but by golly, they're going to want to join you. People want to be around excited, enthusiastic, burning people. And I'm not talking about, having to alter your personality, but I am saying that when you see Isagenix for what it is, and you're just starting and you're just connecting with people, send voice memos to the new people that you're connecting with so that they can hear the enthusiasm in your voice. We did not have voice memos when we first got started. We have them now, and that can be to your greatest advantage to use the voice memo. If I was brand new, you got a brand new, I don't know what his name is, Lauren, but whoever you are on this line, this is what I would say. Let's say you want to talk to someone like Lauren, and she's a nutritionist. I would say, Lauren, I just came across scientifically backed nutritional products that I know you would be absolutely obsessed with. It is changing nutrition as we know it, and I would love it to share it with you. When are you free? So I can send you a quick video that explains it, and you and I can chat afterwards. I mean, if I got a text message like that, I'd be like, okay, what is this? I would be at least open to hearing a little bit about it. So instead of sending a text message where you can receive and just read the words, Send a voice memo with your excitement and connect with people. Just like James said, you are going to connect with a lot of people. The more you can connect and do it awkwardly in the beginning, the better you're going to become the more that you do it. And so that would be my advice. Send those voice memos, do it enthusiastically and passionately, and watch how people are going to want to join you based off of that alone.
It's so good. It's so good. His name is Ian, by the way.
Yeah.
So Ian, we can give you a name because you're amazing and people are going to hear a lot about you sooner than later. This has all been fabulous, and I just love the vulnerability and the authenticity and that it's so unscripted. I know that James and Aud both really wanted to talk about just their passion for the comp plan and how like really showing the compensation plan has changed their business. And I'm going to just mute again and let you guys share. I'd love for you to touch on, because I heard you do this on Trudy's call. So I've heard, I think, a little bit of what this is going to be like, but I would love for you to touch on that. First of all, how are you bringing that up? Like, what does that look like? And also, what are you showing them? Because I think a lot of times the misconception is, oh, I talked to them about getting their products paid for. Like, did you share with them? And why I want to celebrate them, that's like hardly showing the compensation plan. So talk about like how you are doing that and everything you're showing that can be duplicated as well, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I'll let Aud dive into that. I'll let you go into it, but I just want to get a gauge really quickly. If everybody could rate how confident you are on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the most confident at presenting, whether in front of a group or one-on-one, the compensation plan to a brand new person. 1 to 10. And this, we've been really honest. I hope you guys can be really honest with us. If it's not a 10, that's okay. But just, this is a point of being radically honest with yourself and just taking responsibility. I love that. 2, 1, 1, 6, 7, 8.
awesome.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you guys all for just sharing where you're honestly at. Because we all started at a 1. I'll just say that. We all started at a 1.
Yeah. We all started at a 1. And I remember when I first was learning the comp plan, I had little note cards that I would look at and I would write it out. And every master was once a disaster, just like David Wood said. But there's a difference between knowing the comp plan and showing the comp plan. There's a difference between knowing the comp plan and showing the comp plan. And when there was a massive, massive shift in our business, it was because we went from knowing to showing, and we went from knowing to teaching our team how to write out the compensation plan. We fully believe on our team that everybody deserves to see the compensation plan. All of your customers, all of your prospects, all of your previous customers, everybody deserves to see the compensation plan. So whether people come in just for the products, after they have an amazing product experience, about 1 week later, we ask them, we say, hey, I want to check in with you. I want to check in with you. When can we schedule a 15 to 20 minute Zoom call so that I can hear how things are going? And on that Zoom call, we hear how things are going and we say, you know what? We believe that everybody deserves to eat for free in Isagenix. I want to show you how you can eat for free. Would that be okay? The verbiage there is, I want to show you how you can eat for free. Would that be okay? And when we go through that compensation plan training, we are doing you share, they share. So that is the first thing. Yes, we do you share, they share. But we take it a step further than just you share, they share, and we show the residual. And the reason that we show the residual is because when people can fully grasp that you can work one time and continuously get paid long after the work is done, the wheels begin to click inside their mind. They begin to shift, they begin to change, they begin to say, you know what? I've never heard of something like this before. This is something that I actually need and want. So when we show the compensation plan, it's not just about showing you share, they share, because those upfront bonuses of hitting Crystal Manager, which are awesome. Thank you, Jim and Kathy Coover. We are filled with gratitude for that. Crystal Manager is a one-time pay. Residual income is forever when you build it that way. And so on the Eat for Free call, we always show the residual. we always show what is possible in the residual. And Lauren did an amazing job at Celebration, going over the compensation plan with everyone and showing them the residual aspect. And that is exactly what we do. It is so important that we show that part of it, because what happens is people who have never heard of Isagenix before know that there's an income that can be attached to it. The light inside their brain gets flipped on and they say, this is actually something that I want to do. I want to make a power post after this. So you're working this both ways. You're showing people who may not ever have had an interest, but now they do because you stepped outside of your comfort zone to show them what was possible. The prospect at your table, you can't just talk to them about Isagenix. I mean, you can, but if you want a big business, you have to talk about the big business. If you want to make your dreams become a reality through residual income, you have to be showing the residual income to other people for them to get excited about what's possible in their life as well. And so what we do, every prospect meeting, every customer, what my favorite go-to line was years ago was, hey, I am working on presenting the compensation plan to people. I'm learning. Would you mind if I practiced on you? You can give me your feedback. I mean, I was so like, please let me practice on you. I would love your feedback. That people said yes. And I would practice on them. And as soon as I was done practicing on them, they would say, I think I want to do this too. And so for us, and the thing that I am the most passionate about right now is teaching people how to write it out. And we don't have time to do it on this call, but we are going to make a video this week and we're going to post it on YouTube so that everybody can learn how to write it out if you don't already know how, because we believe in it that much. Because when you can learn to write it out, not only is your customer or your prospect receiving the valuable information of what this compensation plan is, but what's also happening is it's getting ingrained deep within your heart of what's possible. It is getting ingrained so deep within you that it's going to cause you to get into action without you even knowing it, because you're constantly showing how you can make $54, $54, $54, $54. And that is honestly where we have seen so much growth take place.
And that just comes honestly after a decision from saying, okay, I am going to take it on myself, not to whoever's presenting it at the overview or not whatever, but I'm going to take it upon myself to learn this compensation plan inside and out. You guys, that was I found my first notebook that I ever had with Isagenix, and at the very, very top, very first bullet point, it said, learn the comp plan. And I went to work at that, because if you can't effectively talk about a business, the chances are you won't have a business. And when you can express like Autumn was saying, you just understand the gravity of it time and time and time again. You're just like, oh my goodness, how we still have trouble sleeping because we get so fired up. And it's just too good. So if you leave with nothing else from this call, take it upon yourself to learn and then practice with all of you beautiful people. You use each other and say, hey, can I want you to give me some feedback. Let's do let's say half an hour. You present it to me for half the time. I present it to you, and you just get that repetition and then go out like she was saying. I would encourage you to go back and reach out to every customer you ever enrolled that you didn't share the compensation plan to and say, listen, I'm working on explaining the compensation plan of Isagenix. I know you've been using the products or you once used them. Would you mind if we hopped on a 20-minute video call and I could run it by you and you could give me your honest feedback of how you think I did, right? That's a great, you want actionable steps that is going to change the posture of your business right here and now. Get in touch with your customers and say, let me show you this plan. Let me show you how this works and how this could potentially change your life. That's immediate action that you'll wake up tomorrow with new energy. I guarantee it. And you'll feel more hope and more excitement in your business because of it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. It's so good. And I don't know if you saw in the chat, but like literally in the beginning, people would ask me questions. I'm like, I have no idea. I don't speak Iso-Latin, but I'm going to call you back with Janny because she does. Like, that's literally what I told people. And it was true. And then Janny would be on the phone and I would be like drawing and writing. I was learning and I was coachable. And we shifted from that where she would go, okay, you're going to lead the way this time. I'll fill in if you mess up. Like I'll fill in if you do something wrong or you leave something out, but like you got it. Like she took the training wheels off of me and I definitely screwed up, you know? I was like, Crystal directors, like 7 consultants. And she's like, no, 6, you know, like there was a lot in that process, but you get into it, you fail forward. But I want to share something with you guys that Audrey knows. I told her backstage in Nashville, when I was invited to speak at Celebration and train on the comp plan, I thought the majority of these people are new. The majority of people don't understand it. Like I wasn't trying to teach the compensation plan to James and Audrey, right? Or to Jessica Rigner or to Janet Elo. Like I was thinking of the brand new person. And I invited over groups of people every Monday at my house for like over a month, a different group. And they all were not in Isagenix on purpose to ask for that feedback. So I'll be honest, I wasn't actually trying to recruit these people. Of course, they get interested, not even like passively, subliminally. Like I literally just wanted the new person to go, I don't get it, or that makes sense to me so that I could do a good job. And that was with being with this company almost 6 years, you guys. Like had hosted 100 Super Saturdays. So you're always getting better. Just remember, like, there's no there, but like, it's not like you get to a point and you're like, oh, I've mastered it, I stopped learning. Like James and Audrey are getting better every time they teach someone else how to do it, a new analogy, a new way to organize the drawing, but you have to start somewhere. So I'm gonna unmute the call in just a second so you guys can all pour some love into them, but thank you so much for your rawness, your vulnerability, your authenticity. I am so proud of all that you guys have done. It is so, so fun to just see the growth of your journey. I cannot wait for you to max out the compensation plan. Audrey, you can tell yourself you received that because yes, you are going to max out the compensation
I was going to say it.
So I'm just going to unmute you guys and please give them some love. Tell them good night. Thank you.
so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So good, you
you.
guys. What an amazing week 7 call. See you at Super Saturday.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Good night.
Thank you.